Mhm.
Okay.
Welcome to the History of LA Ska one-on-one sessions. I'm your host, Junor Francis. Now, this series celebrates and aims to preserve and promote the ska, rocksteady, and vintage reggae scene in Southern California and beyond through insightful conversations with legends and modern-day talent, including many friends, folks working behind the scene. So when you listen to this podcast series, watch us on YouTube. A big thank you, a larger than life thank you. And please remember to subscribe and tell all your friends and your neighbors and your relatives about the podcast series. On this episode, we welcome members of Los Angeles Blanco Negro, singer, guitarist Mario Fuentes, and guitarist Erick Troncoso. I hope I pronounce your last name Troncoso.
Perfect. Yes, Troncoso.
Cheer myself.
No, yeah, it's a hard one. It's a hard one for sure.
Yeah, and we're about to join by saxophonist Mila Cruz. Mila, how are you?
Hi.
Yeah, we've been waiting for what seems like eternity. Yeah, good to have you.
There you go.
In the words of my grandmother, better late than never. Good to have you on board.
Sorry.
Yes. So you're a saxophonist, right?
Yeah, was practicing just now.
All right, fantastic. All right, welcome and thanks for joining us today. So we are excited to learn more about each one of you, the group Blanco Negro, which are certainly making waves throughout Southern California and beyond. We are also excited that you'll be kicking off the larger-than-life upcoming Scamina show, Saturday, January the 13th. Unlucky for many, it's going to be lucky for a whole lot of people. And that's at the Glass House in Pomona, California. This one will feature the return of the eminent and distinguished Mr. Rocksteady himself, Ken Booth, but by none other than the Steady 45. On the same billing will be the Debonaires and, of course, my guest, Blanco Negro. And I dare not leave out the DJs. They are numerous. We have DJ Mila and the Wheels of Steel DJ Lady Isla, Rolette Bird, and Adrian Villalobos. Not, of course, he's extremely important to the scene in Southern California. So last but not least, Adrian. So we'll touch on the show a little bit later on. We're going to talk more about the upcoming show. So to all of you, were you all born and raised in Southern California, and specifically where? And if you weren't born here, you're a transplant. When did you arrive?
Yeah, I crazy enough, I actually went to school with Erick in high school. Yeah. We've known each other for some time now, and really the South LA area, mid-city area of Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. I think Mila in particular, she might have been somewhere else. We had some kind of connection there, but yeah, we all grew up South LA. Mid-city LA, and we all still currently live in that same area, actually.
Right. How about you, Mila?
I'm from the Valley. I was born and raised here, so still here, but I travel a lot for the bands. Most of them are in LA, and most of the people I've gotten to know recently are LA based. So,
we love the Valley.
What it is.
Say it again.
We love the Valley.
It's just the way it is.
Yes, indeed. So, what role did music play in your household? And the question is for all three of you. In your household, what did you listen to? What role did music play, if any?
Right. I would love to talk about that. I think it's interesting. At least in my family, I think my family might have like this untapped ability to play music, because I would hear uncles singing in fine tune, and they would sing in harmony with the song they were listening to, and I have a sibling who does the same, but no one really ever got into it, and so I guess I could say I'm the first one in my family, at least, to actually pick up an instrument and feel intrigued and curious enough to want to play and to learn. And I think like most musicians, maybe or maybe a lot of musicians can attest to this, but for some of us, it starts as just wanting to play along to music, just play along to this song I like, right? But then, maybe years pass and you start getting interested and curious about how to create music yourself. But there was, at least in my case, there was no role for there was no musician in the family. So it was nice to pick it up.
So first generation.
Yes.
Nice.
That's same for me too. Same for me. I lucky enough. I mean, to be honest with you, I feel like a lot of times in my family, it was almost looked at as almost a little taboo. Like it wasn't something that I should even pursue or follow or even partake in too much. And I shout out to Ivan, trumpet player. He's kind of the one that
kind of threw you in the pool.
He threw me in the pool. He actually one day, crazy story. One day we went to high school together. We were in high school, and Ivan, trumpet player, right? We started hanging out. We were just kind of like friends and stuff. And one day we were in the car. We were going to the movies.
Sorry to rudely interrupt you. Guess what?
No problem.
Ivan wants to join us.
Hey,
Ivan.
Let's go.
We were just talking about him. We were just
Ivan.
Is he on?
Ivan, you there, brother?
Hey,
Check it.
Ivan, right? You're an expert on this.
How's it going? How you guys doing?
All right,
Hey,
all right.
No lie. We were just talking about you. I was telling Junor Francis how when literally he's kind of the one that introduced me to music. We were literally sitting in the car, and I happened to be singing a song. It was an Hombres Head song. I still remember it. And he looks back at me and he's like, "Hey, dude, you could sing." Yeah. And I thought he can attest for it. I thought he was joking. I thought he was bothering me a little bit. And it was actually very serious. He was like, "No, dude, like I mean it." And I played along with it. And one day he's like, "All right, dude, you really don't believe me? Come to practice." And I was like, "All right, yeah, I'll show up to practice." And sure enough, I showed up to practice, and it was like a bunch of guys at practice, and everyone was practicing, and he really like kind of threw me in there. And he honestly, I owe Eric and Ivan and Anthony, our drummer, kind of like most of my knowledge as far as music goes. They've really.
Here's a secret. What kind of music were they practicing?
They were practicing ska.
Damn. I hope you'd give the right answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were.
It was. Yeah, that is the truth.
So that was the formation of the band. Or the band had already formed, and they were looking for vocalists.
I think, to be honest with you, I think Ivan can. Ivan could probably share that a little bit.
Ivan, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about where you were born and raised.
Born and raised in Los Angeles. How's it going, Ivan Mazas? Mucho gusto. But yeah, in regards of what we're talking, the topic, right? Yeah, we were already forming. We were just in the look for a vocalist. We had tried about like 2 people before Mario, and it was like, shooter, man, like, man, not really gonna, But then as soon as I heard Mario, I was like you said, the story. We were hanging out with another friend, a mutual friend that we have. We used to call him Santa Claus, but Daniel, shout outs, wherever he's at. Yeah, we were hanging out, and then sure enough, we were listening to Hombres Head, heard Mario, and I was like, damn, this guy like actually is hitting like the tune of the song. It's similar, it's not too out of focus, And I was like, hey, shoot through. And from there, the rest is history. Like we got together, we made music. Well, we're still making music to the day, and it's been a blessing with everyone in the band. It's amazing ride all these years. It's been beautiful, man.
Wonderful. So the question I asked before you arrived is musical family. Anyone in the family? How were you introduced to music? What was music?
Both Mila and Ivan have their family actually do have a background in music.
Yeah. Crazy enough, as a kid, I didn't know that I had family in music until I was about like 21 or 22. Is that I found out that my great-grandfather, he used to play snare in Oaxaca, Mexico, in a small town where my parents are from. And then my uncles, we started visiting the town, and sure enough, my uncles play music. I have an aunt that used to play soprano in her youth. Another uncle that plays the tuba, the sousaphone, and then started learning. Yeah, crazy. Like when I was small, my father was just like, you know what? you're gonna do music. We have a teacher coming over, and you're gonna learn. And then slowly but surely, I started finding out that I have family that does music. So it kind of runs in the family. Definitely runs in the family.
Right, that's good. Your parents support you. How about you, Mila?
Actually, I feel like most of my family, I guess, would be musically inclined. As far as serious musicians, I wouldn't say anyone in my family was. I think it just kind of came naturally for me. And yeah, I don't know. It's been a crucial part of my life. Definitely, it's
In what
changed
sense?
the way that I see things and navigate through my life. And it's had its up and downs because family is not like Mario was saying, it's not something that's usually supported. So it's something you do, huh?
We support you though.
All right.
All right.
But when you say family, you meant more specifically and primarily mother, father, brother, sister, and extended family, right?
Yeah, extended family. Yeah, I've had
I've
heard stories of like extended family maybe like playing guitars here and there, but I just don't, no one that took it seriously and move forward with it, definitely.
Right, interestingly enough. So when did you all start playing individually? It's a question for all four.
When did what?
What time in your life you started playing music?
Man, that was for me. Like I mentioned, it was really like high school. There was always, again, of course, right? I was what I call like a shower singer. So, and I'm like hanging out at home and I'm like singing songs and stuff, but never anything serious, right? And I really, again, up until I met these guys, I don't think they really changed like my trajectory, I guess, in a sense, because I really never imagined myself here and doing what I'm doing, but just again, like I maybe it'll be a recurring theme, right? But in my family, again, it was just this, like, what are you doing? Why are you wasting your time doing this stuff? Why are you wasting your time? And really, it just became this, this thing for me where I got to kind of, I say this all the time at shows where I just feel like it's not always just about the music, but just kind of like sharing this energy and this like space and honestly, after we'll play an event, for me it carries me forward, right? But really, it started for me in high school. I was maybe 17 years old, 17, 16, and until now.
Wonderful. The question for all four, you could.
I'll go next. I was introduced to music through middle school. I'm really, looking back at it now, I'm so glad that school offered music as one of the classes. And I picked up piano. I used to be really good at piano. I used to be really good at piano during middle school. That means grades 6 through 8. I was so good. Unfortunately, now that's absolutely gone. Like, there's no more skill in piano. But
he's being modest.
But that started me off, and and I think I'm so wrong. I said 14. I meant 12 years old. 12 years old. Then at 14, I picked up a guitar, and then the guitar became like, easily accessible. It doesn't take up so much space at home. So I stuck with the guitar, and I thank God that I still have that love for it, and I still have a lot of fun with it. So yeah, 14 years old, 12 years old. Mm-hmm.
Mila?
I was 14 when I started, and that was around high school. But I think prior to that, I remember always wanting to be a musician. It was something I always felt like I needed to be. And I remember I begged my mom for like a keyboard, I think when I was like 12 or 13. So right before I started high school. And so she got one for me. And I remember that it was easy for me to pick up the instrument. And I'm like, okay, this is something I want to do. So as soon as I started high school, I joined band. So from then it was just history. I was so attracted to that feeling, and still doing it after all these years.
Yeah, for me it was at 10 years old. 10 years old is when my parents were like, you know what, the teacher's coming over. And at first I hated it, hated going to rehearsals, hated going to practice, because I would have missed the wrestling events. I was a huge wrestling fan back in the day, and and it was time to go to practice, and I'm gonna miss my shows. Like no, like I'd rather stay at home and not do music at all, But thankfully, it grew on me, and definitely grew on me. And then I started like hearing different instruments doing different things at the same time. So then that's when I was like, what the hell is going on? Like what is going on with this? Like why is somebody playing something different and I'm playing something different and then someone else is doing? So that's when I just got intrigued and I just wanted to, do it for a serious moment, and find out what was going on and actually learn how to write music and stuff like that. But yeah, 10 years old for me.
10. Wow.
Yeah.
That's really young, yeah.
You have a way to go. And you have been playing music since?
Ever since. Yeah, I got
Nice.
to conduct. Well, we're from Oaxaca,
Nice.
so I've gotten the chance to conduct a couple of wind ensembles, what they call it here in the States, and what we call it over there, banda filarmónica.
Mhm.
And I've gotten to conduct, and it's been a process, and I've grown so much from it, and I love it. Yeah, I can't even believe that I used to hate it as a child.
Congratulations. So, this question: when was the first time you heard ska, rocksteady, or reggae, be it CD, radio, or on television? What else we had? Cassette.
That's great.
That's a cool question, man.
Go first.
That is such a cool question.
Go ahead.
Damn, man, big shout out to the first time that I heard ska music specifically, at least, was I was a young kid. I was probably like maybe 10 or 8 to 10 years old. I went to what they used to call in Spanish, it was called Fiesta Broadway. It was like this it was like this block party on Broadway Street in downtown LA. And at the time, shout out to them, OGs. Some of them are still playing now with Lyrians, and spread around the scene. But they were called Upground, and they were giving out CDs. They were giving out demos in downtown, and that was the very first time. And I didn't know what it was at the time. So years later, years later, I go back to them. I was like, oh, dude, I didn't even notice. But when I was a kid, I was listening. That was a ska album that I got so tied to. I was just so moved by it. So it was full circle when later down the line, when I was like an early teenager, I found out, hey, that CD I got really attached to was ska. So then it's just full circle. It's amazing.
And then we got to play with Upground at some
Yeah,
point.
we played
actually,
yeah. Shout out to them.
Yes.
For me, I same deal. It feels like everything kind of happened for me in high school. It's interesting how I really like the question too, just because I know that I had heard ska before, and really I was hearing it on TV, right? But I didn't know enough to acknowledge it as ska music or reggae music, or I couldn't recognize what was happening yet. But the first time I heard it again, it was in high school. There was like this really big wave happening around that time when I was in high school, again with Ivan, Erick.
What time period?
Everyone.
What time period, for the benefit of our listeners? What time period was that?
That was
2010?
No, 2008 maybe.
2008,
Yeah.
2009.
It was like 2008, 2009. And this kid comes over to me. His name was Ivan, funny enough, not this Ivan. But this guy named Ivan comes over to me and he's like, hey dude, do you know what ska music is? And I was like, no, what is that? And he's like, don't worry, I got you. And he goes home the next day. I used to have art class with him. He comes back with this like mixtape. He literally went home, made me a mixtape, and he's like, dude, check this out. And he like shows me the song, and the first band that I ever heard was La Resistencia.
Hey,
that was the first. Shout out to La Resistencia. Shout out to Clemente. I know he plays with them and stuff. And that was the first time I heard ska. And I remember being a little confused by it, to be honest with you. Same time, 2008, 2009. And this is again a little maybe. I used to be in film production class, and same thing. I remember the second time I heard it was there. They started playing ska music. We were supposed to make this music video, and I remember being so confused because they were playing ska music, and the guys that we were filming with, they started like skanking, and I remember thinking like, what are they doing? This is so weird. I was like, this is so weird. What's happening? And then crazy again, very full circle. Maybe like a few months later, I meet Ivan, and like I'm like fully immersed. Like for whatever reason, it's like ska is like everything in reggae, and they're just exposing me to all of it. But again, this is like 2008, 2009. So really crazy, really crazy.
I like this part about the skanking.
It looks silly to someone to see.
Yeah. And it's
Yep.
LA skanky, you know, so they got the elbow going.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was.
Yes.
Oh man, go ahead, Mila.
Hey, we proceed.
Oh shoot. Battery's dying. The first time I heard ska, is that the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rhapsody or reggae, how were you introduced to the music? It's got to be a first time, if you can recall.
Yeah, I can recall. It was after high school. I think the first band I heard was Scape. Like, where are they from?
Got the Spain.
Yeah. It was like a friend of my brother's that's like, oh, your sister's a musician. I was like, yeah, but not that kind of musician. So, and my try it out. It's not a big deal. I was like, yeah, all right, why not? It was like, I'll give it a shot. And I liked it. I did it for a few years, and then I kind of stepped back and went back to playing classical music for a few years afterwards. And then I came back to it again recently. So, it's definitely fun. It's a fun time. So I can't not do it. It's just I love all the people I've met, especially in the ska scene. It's just like it's like a loving community, and I appreciate that very much. So that's why I still play ska.
Wonderful.
Mr. Francis.
It's come in, man.
And look, and I hope we're answering the question, because I know you've reiterated, you mentioned rocksteady and reggae twice. So I hope we're not missing the question here. But if I could touch on that, everything that we're mentioning right now, Mr. Francis, is growing up in South LA and being so young. This is the kind of music you're introduced to, where it's like, there's a lot of punk rock involved, and ska, and it's fast, and it's energetic. So the rocksteady and the reggae really starts coming along once we're at least maybe in my sake, and maybe most of us share this, right? But I would argue maybe 18 through early 20s, mid 20s is when you start hearing the Alton Ellis, when you start hearing the Phyllis Dillon. That's when like it's older, just niche music that'll start coming along. But yeah, everything we've mentioned as far is definitely like the very, very beginning, the first things you're introduced to. Very, very local music, right? And then eventually you start growing into the rocksteady, into the reggae, into the old 60s, 70s, and 80s Jamaican music.
Hey, but we all heard Arthur, right? Every day when you're walking down the street.
That's Ziggy Marley or Stephen?
Yeah,
Melody Maker.
Whatever the case is, that was like maybe the first time I heard reggae. But again, I didn't even know it.
Yeah,
I didn't even know it. Like it was just, it just felt good. It was cool to hear it, but I wasn't sure what was happening. So, Ivan,
the first time, now thinking back, on the question, I've never asked myself that. That's crazy. But I remember going to Mexico on a trip. I was around like 11, 12 years old. And I bought this orange CD that says Shaggy on it. And I was like, all right, like, let's listen to this. I have no idea what it is. I just picked it up. It was orange. All right, let's go. My whole trip, my whole like month in Mexico, I was just listening to Shaggy, and I didn't know if it was reggae. I had no idea, but it was just cool to me, I was like, it wasn't me, everybody, it was grumpy, but yeah, like that was the first time, 11, 12 years old is when I heard the first reggae, Shaggy. But same thing, like with Arthur, Ziggy Marley, and the Melody Makers, childhood. You're listening to music, it's catchy, you're bouncing, but you don't know it's reggae,
Right.
So it's crazy, yeah. But for me, it was definitely Shaggy. Shaggy is when I first heard it, didn't know what it was until later on. Then when I met the first band that I was in, Record, and Record. That's when I started listening to local ska, and then meeting Eric and stuff like that. He's introducing to like reggae, rocksteady, stuff like that. And that's when I was like, okay, now I know what it is. This is what I was listening to in my youth, and
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was. And so, but yeah, the first one was Shaggy. Crazy enough.
Yeah. I played a CD last week, so I can visually see the orange.
Yeah.
So which leads to, you sort of touch on my next question now. Which band you saw perform live for the first time? Playing within that genre, ska rock.
Another good question, man. Shit. That's another good question.
Yeah.
Man,
I think you're making us think.
That's the whole idea, though.
and Mr. Francis, by this you mean like locally, or like does it matter?
Whether it's
like
local or international.
okay,
In person.
in
Live.
person.
Yeah, you went to live concert.
This is for me. Again, I was kind of thrown into this whole situation. Sometimes it feels like, and it kind of like landed on my lap. Do you remember what was it called? The Banana Box? It was like by Santee. There was this venue there.
Salón Acapulco.
Yeah. So one of the first shows that I ever went to was probably like the first shows that we played.
Oh,
And-
interesting.
and-
That's interesting.
And it was so scary to me. It was so scary. I remember we showed up to Salón Acapulco, and we played first. I think we were opening for Ecolecu, actually. And I remember staying after and seeing this band Ecolecu. Shout out to them too, they're local. And I remember thinking they were so good. Like I remember standing there, and and again, they were a local band, right? But it just felt kind of like this very particular moment for me where I needed to reach that, right? In some sense or another. And yeah, that was probably the first band that I ever saw playing ska music live. Ecolecu.
I've never heard of them before. They're local?
Yeah, they're local. They're like
Yeah, Latin American side, ska punk.
yeah, ska punk, and again they kind of blew me away, right? I remember thinking, wow, like this guy sounds so good. They're so good, and that was my first experience with it, really.
Wonderful. And you shared the stage with them. You didn't just watch.
Yes.
You're
Yeah.
also performing.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you got Mila or Ivan, you guys can go ahead because I have to think. I don't know. I have to think about that one.
Ska band? That's rough. I feel like the first time I heard a ska band perform live was when I opened up for them too. I think one of the first major bands I heard live was Red Store Bums. And I remember when I first started in my ska band, that was one of the bands that they had suggested I listen to get into that kind of feeling, because it was like a ska core band. And so I remember like recognizing the songs, and I heard them perform live, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. They perform like they sound on the records. So I was impressed by that for sure. But yeah, I didn't grow up listening to rocksteady or ska, so I didn't I wasn't searching for that sound until I fell into that community.
And that was,
Since
have you been baptized since?
yeah.
And the addiction begun. Or for you.
Eric, you ready, bro? I think we're on the same boat, Eric. I'm trying to remember, and
What's coming to your mind?
just backyard shows, dude. Honestly, just backyard shows. Like just a backyard, like I said, Rencor. Was like the first band, but performing in. But I guess one of my first concerts, and this was crazy, was like a big concert performing ska, but more ska core. I don't know if you guys remember the Knitting Factory out in Hollywood.
Of course.
And I would see this band. I saw Secta Core. Yeah, that one was one of that was like the main idea that we were aiming for as a band at Rencor, but the same thing. It was what I can think of is like mostly just backyard shows, starting off. You don't really, we wouldn't, at least I wouldn't really see or go out to go see a band back in the day. You know what I mean? It was just like, oh, we have a performance, let's go. You know, let's go do it. You know, just go to the old school spot, Juniper 92nd. I definitely remember that. The cornfield, I think they called it.
Yeah.
Yeah, super back in the days.
With
But
the
yeah,
dust everywhere.
yeah, with dust everywhere, tierra, dude. Yeah, but yeah, mostly I can just go for backyard shows, and then Secta Core was like my main memory, seeing like big band perform and this crazy ass show that they had. You know, it was just intense, and it was all like pitch black room at the knitting factory, and everything was red. And that was just crazy because then I remember leaving there and I was like, damn, my head hurts. Like, why does my head hurt? But it was just like such intense music that it kind of made my like, whoa, like I was, you know, I was a little woozy after all that craziness. But yeah, Secta Core, I guess I would say it was my first band, like seeing up front, besides like the backyard shows and stuff like that.
So considering that you grew up in Los Angeles, which is considered by many the entertainment capital of the world, where you hear a wide variety of music, why you guys gravitated towards ska and reggae, which is underground, and not only is it underground, you know you're not going to get paid once you start playing it, but why ska and rocksteady?
That's another great question. Oh my God, that's such a, you know. And you know what's interesting? You know what's interesting about that question, Mr. Francis, is there's okay. Say let's hypothetically say that all of us were introduced to ska, reggae, and rocksteady around the teenage years. Before that, we've been introduced to hip hop. We've been introduced to Mexican music, cumbias, rock, metal. We've been introduced to so many things. I'm still trying to figure that out myself. Why I already knew hip hop, I already knew this, I already knew that, but why was it ska that really okay, well, I'm getting ideas.
Him calling you, pulling you.
Yeah. Okay, I'm getting ideas now. Well, firstly, I would say, wow, this is so crazy. Firstly, I would say that in our youth, it was almost easily accessible to join a ska band, meaning they were more available, they were more present. It wasn't until like later, okay, again, this is my testimony at least, early high school, you saw ska bands. Even now, you see a lot of really young kids playing ska music, be it traditional ska, you get me, like with Jamaican influence, or be it ska punk, really, high energy and fast. But you saw, the fast, the crazier stuff when you're young, and then when you're older is when then I would start saying, all right, these kids are starting to get into playing metal rock and hip hop and different things. But when I was young, I saw that it was just accessible. Everyone was starting a band, and the musicians around me, that's what they were playing. So maybe I could say this, Mr. Francis, that there was a wave in
high school.
Yeah, and especially in our high school, at least. Again, we're talking about Pico Union, Central Los Angeles, just west of downtown LA. There was a wave of just all the kids that were listening to ska music. So they were all starting ska bands, right? So then it's like, well, that was the thing to join. That was easy to join because it was there. But I mean, I don't, maybe it's just something about the rhythm too that it just captures you. There's something capturing about that. It's also, I mean, let's be transparent. It's pretty niche too. So there's something cool about niches. There's something cool about, wow, what kind of music is that? It piques people's curiosity. They want to know about it. So once I went into that rabbit hole, I stayed in there. It's a great question.
I'm glad you remained.
That's a great question.
Yeah, I'm glad.
I would say for me, it was a similar feeling as well. So I came from what I gravitated towards initially, classical music. That's where I was going. That's where I was headed. But when I started playing ska, I saw that it was a very, like Erick says, a very niche, group of people that need to play that kind of music. I appreciated the fact that it was so laid back in comparison to the classical world. And I was intrigued by the difference. And at first I was like a bit receptive. I was like, I don't know if I can do this laid back kind of music, but I also like the challenge of kind of like having freedom to express yourself in a way that you don't get when music is written out. So that for sure was something that I was attracted to. And I don't know, it was always super fun. I just felt like, you know, the people that can play this kind of music, fun to be around, and it's fun to be able to create together. To me, that's been like the most like unique experience for me, because like having collaborative creative spaces with all kinds of people is such a special situation to be in. You know, I feel like it's very attractive. It's hard to leave that, you know. It's just it makes you want to do it all the time.
Excellent response.
Well, I'm in the same boat as Mila, growing up, reading music, learning theory and stuff like that. You know, it was a good amount of time that I would just read music, just paper, or basically just playing other composers' ideas, you know. And until I went into my first band, then that's when I was like, okay, what's going on? Like, do you guys have sheet music? You guys, what's going, like, what are the horn lines? You know, like what's then they were just like, you know what? Make it up. Like, just make it up. We just make everything up here. And that's when I started falling in love with like creating the essence of creation, you know, like these are your ideas that from your head, and you're taking them out and people are hearing them out in the world, you know. Of course we would do covers and stuff like that. So you will learn horn line here and there, you know, from other, but even from that, like covering a song, I've always felt that you can get the idea from that and then make it your own. You know, so you hear an idea and then you go, oh, I could do this with it, you know, and then you start creating, and then slowly but surely you forget about listening to others, and then your mind just goes on its own. So that's, for me, that was what captured me, and that's what made me stay with ska. You know, like I wanted to create my own horn lines, wanted to create my own ideas, you know. And then with Blanco y Negro, thankfully, you know, Erick comes with an idea, Mario comes with some chords, some lyrics, Erick as well. You know what I mean? And we all just bam, like we're all in rehearsal, and then everybody comes with ideas. You know, and that's the beauty of it. I love it, and I hope we keep on going with all of that, you know, because that for sure is gonna be very hard to leave behind.
Yeah, that's true. I think if I could share like anything about it, I just everything that I think Ivan and Mila said are like 100%. I for me, same thing. Just having the creative space and the ability to just continue to make stuff is really what keeps me here. It's interesting though how it's never felt to me like a single track path though. And what I mean by that is even now as we develop more, I notice more and more that we have the ability to incorporate other styles into the ska. Like, it's not just ska anymore. It's funk, it's soul, it's R&B, it's, you know, it's like everything. And somehow ska kind of provides itself that way. It gives that space for you to be able to be flexible and to like add rhythms and to like, and there's something so, again, like Mila said, there's something so beautiful about being able to like be flexible with your art, that there's like, it feels like we're unstoppable sometimes. Like what else can we mix it with? What else can we add to it? What else can we like, and again, you know, Ivan's point is just everyone contributes this like different element, and like somehow all of our elements come together. Mila's classical, Ivan's ability for like woodwinds, Erick's like background in whatever metal, and somehow it just creates this like, it creates Blanco y Negro, I guess, right? Creates Blanco y Negro. It's great.
Which leads to the next question. 2009, 2010, the formation of Blanco Negro. How did the idea come about? And am I correct with the date? 2009, 2010, when the band was formed?
Erick, you remember Erick?
That's you guys. Hey, that's you guys. That's you guys.
So I think me and Ivan I guess we could story tell that one. But you know, we were grouped up with other friends, and again, Mr. Francis, as I'm telling you, you know, this was the what do we call it? Let's call it the crossroad where, you know, again, being so young, being we were probably again still high school, not even 18 years old.
Like 17, 16.
Between 15, 17, and 18 years old. Some folks wanted to go like the youthful ska punk rock sound, which is really cool. I mean, really cool. But some of us, we wanted to go something a little slower, a little calmer, a little more grown. And we had that difference. So we split ways with that group. And out of that split, we said we need a cool name, you know. And being absolutely transparent, one of our members at that time, past member, his cousin, he said that he used to have dreams of starting his own band back when he was in Mexico, and he wanted to start a band called Blanco y Negro. He's like, well, I mean, hey, you get me? I'm sharing that name if you guys like it. And I don't know what it is, Mr. Francis, but I mean, yeah, it's cliche. Maybe someone could say, well, Blanco y Negro, right? The ska flag or whatever. But there's something about that name that really just stuck. And what I like about it, there's this just open to interpretation. Blanco y Negro can mean whatever you want. But yeah, that's how it started. 2009. Wow, how long ago was that?
Right? That's right.
Almost 2 decades ago.
Just under 15 years.
We are old.
Wow. Yeah, old.
And all the original members are still in the band?
No. No,
I'm probably one of the newest ones.
Yeah, from that first generation of Blanco y Negro, it's just Erick and myself, huh? It's just us two. Yeah, it's just Erick and myself.
I don't know where do I come in, dude? I remember, like I said, I feel like
2012.
Yeah,
No, 2010.
No, I graduated. I was out of high school. 2010.
I would say like mid 2010 or early 2011, around that.
Nah, it's because 2010 we graduated high school. We were already in there.
Oh,
this was like 08, 09, dude. Because you guys still had Kazik and Buki.
Yeah. Kazik and Buki. We still have Buki. Yeah, Kazik and Buki. Yeah, that was the original. But yeah, for the original, Mario came in a little after the formation, because it was about how we were like what, 13 deep, 12 deep in the band. We were a 12-piece band of Blanco y Negro. Oh, well, yeah, Blanco y Negro. First person, we were like 12 deep. I don't know what we were doing, but we were 12 deep. And that's when we were looking for we were looking for a little something else. We were working with what we had. We were working with what we had until we started hanging out with Mario. Well, I started hanging out with Mario, and that's when I heard him. And I was like, hey, you know what? Let's try it out. So, like, you can match the pitch. You can be here. You can be heard. And yeah, thankfully, we stuck around this whole time. Yeah.
Yes, somewhere along the line, I heard someone told me there was a traditional band with largely from the East Los Angeles area playing traditional. Somehow when people tell me about bands in Los Angeles, they always mention the word traditional. I guess that is to distinguish from other ska, right? So so the first legend you perform with, memory juggling again. Legend mean legend from Jamaica. I want to be specific that you share the stage with.
Dude, wasn't it? I keep thinking Echoplex for some reason.
Yeah, I mean we've played with Ken Booth in the past. There are two more legends that we have also shared stage with. I'm not sure why I'm blanking on it, but it's been about 3 legends that we have shared stage with. I mean, if you can help me out here.
Bro, I'm trying to remember too. I'm drawing a blank. I honestly was gonna say just Ken Booth, this coming up show, but
how about Los Globos? Did you guys play Los Globos with any legend?
Los Globos. The main one I can think of is what, Dread Marai?
But with legends, though, we have played a Globos event with legends.
We have played Los Globos, but with the legends,
Echoplex. I don't know why too.
I'm not sure, because I don't think we have shared stage with like Stranger Cole or any.
We have not. No.
No, we have not. No. Well, from what I can remember, I think for me, I would say I guess the first one would be Ken Booth, this coming up show. But I mean, but I think Erick has another memory, because I'm blanking out. Honestly, I'm blanking out.
It's too many shows. It's too many shows.
Yeah, right. And you guys are still holding the fort, so we're definitely looking forward to big night, January 13th, 2024. What a way to kick off the new year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's larger than life. Ken Booth.
He is larger than life.
Glad to have you guys on the bill. So which other group in Southern California on the scene really and truly impress you? The Southern California.
Ooh.
Delirium,
Sorry,
Steady
all right.
45s,
Western Standard Time.
Western Standard Time, Bandos Calavera.
Calavera, Rascahuele, shout out to them.
Yeah.
I don't want to forget nobody.
I mean,
and that's
really,
a challenge, not to mention all the bands.
For me, really, really big though, by the way, that impacted me a lot was Pachamama.
Yes.
And I have to give a big shout out to Memo. We used to go to see him in
House of
Blues right here on Sunset.
When it was on Sunset.
When it was on Sunset. And we used to just go watch them because I just enjoyed them that much, and I just that band in particular like really impacted me. Like as far as like
I haven't heard the name in a while. I guess they're in hiatus.
They rebranded for sure. They rebranded.
So they're still playing.
Yeah. They're a lot of same members. They're playing like Afrobeat, like Fela Kuti style music.
Oh, okay.
Neighborhood Orchestra.
Yeah, Neighborhood Orchestra. Shout out to them.
Oh, that's the new name now.
Yeah. The Neighborhood Orchestra. Yes. Shout out to them.
I see. So I may have seen the name around. They did recognize them. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, on or about now, I want to introduce to the discussion a good friend and, of course, the producer, Erick Cola.
Hello, everyone.
Eric, how you doing, Mr. Eric?
Great to have you all, Mario, Eric, Mila, and Ivan.
Thank you.
And Junior, thank you. Yeah. And special shout out to Nancy for helping arrange this. Nancy, who
Shout out Nancy.
Yeah, we're really close with you all. She's a warrior, and Junior and I've known and been friends with her for a long time. And I have to say, so I saw you guys once before. Might have been at Los Globos, one of the shows back in the day, but really excited to see you at this show right here at Ken Booth, January 13th. It's gonna be pretty amazing. And I also have to say, so a few episodes ago, Junior and I interviewed as part of our Latin Ska Roundtable Part 2. We interviewed Senora Calaca from Ocho Calacas, Azael Hernandez from La Pobra Ska, and Jimmy Mercado from Red Store Bums. And they all name checked you all as a band to look out for. So I do want to share that in case you didn't.
And I'm glad you brought
Yes. So that was so if Junior and I had any doubt whether or not we were going to interview you all, that put it over the finish line. No, definitely appreciate that. And also, Ivan, I also grew up a big wrestling fan, so we need to talk off air about wrestling.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you seen the shirt that says wrestling are the only legitimate forms of art or something like that?
No, I haven't. No, I have not seen that.
It's pretty funny. I know. So I was waiting in the wings when you all were talking about the name Blanco y Negro. I was thinking though before I heard that one could say kind of the name was also paying homage to like two-tone, right? I mean, if you think about what the two-tone label that Jerry Dammers helped create, right? Racial unity, but also gender unity, right? And incorporating people of all different cultures and ethnicities, and also men and women. So I thought about that as we were preparing for this interview and hearing that question come up, and also really happy for the success that you all are having, and want to talk about your album here coming up. But Mila, I have a question for you. When you come back on with
yeah, sorry, my battery's dying, so I'm trying to get it.
I'm gonna pivot. I'm gonna come back. No, that's okay. I'm going to pivot and come back to you perfectly here in a second. You also were talking about the evolution and the sound, right, of your group. And I would probably say more so than a number of the groups, at least on the traditional scene, right? You all really effortlessly blend ska, reggae, Latin rhythms. And is that something that has been pretty steady over time, or has it progressed and kind of evolved more in recent years? And any one of you can take that question.
I mean, if I could chime in on it, I think we've always brought like a particular influence. Like all of us, we've all kind of brought like a different element to the table. Um, um, if I can admit something too, and give you credit for it, actually, Erick, usually for me at least, Erick usually helps me a lot in particular with rhythms. And I think, you know, you mentioned something earlier about, you know, just this curiosity to like replicate a sound. You know, you hear something and there's something that you're like, how is that happening? You know, and then what's interesting about it is he'll come in somehow and he'll show me this rhythm or something. And then we start being like, oh, well, how can we mix it? How can we put it into what we're doing? And it literally just kind of, one of the guys that's been practicing with us recently, his name's Alan. Big shout out to him too. He was mentioning the other day how sometimes like me and Erick, we you know, and this happens between all of us, even with Ivan, with Mila, but sometimes I think he just happened to see it at that moment where like, you know, he'll have an idea and then somehow I'll add to the idea and we start bouncing back and forth and then we start like, okay, well, let's try it. And we get so excited about making it happen that we start like, okay, let's do it again. And it just ends up like
Nice.
almost like effortlessly happening, you know, but again, I have to give, you know, if I give Erick, I have to give you that credit, man. You really, he does a really, he introduces me to all kinds of rhythms and you know, and it's funny, he'll ask me like, can you sing on this? Can you? And I'm like, yes, like please, can I? Like, and it just becomes this like, and if I say one last thing, it's crazy how much music we've made that we still haven't even released because you know, there's a lot of like, there's a huge money aspect to the whole situation, right? Like recording and, you know, XYZ. And recently we've been kind of trying to hone in on the craft that we're learning to do it ourselves. But you know, it's all very particular, but there's so much like different styles that we've been incorporating recently that we're so excited about like just showing everyone what we're doing because it's even shocking to us, I think, at moments where we're like, dude, this sounds really good. Like it sounds really, we need to show somebody this because, you know, when we feel that kind of something's like brewing or, you know, but I'll give that to Erick because I think, you know, I appreciate it. You know, the rhythms and all that stuff it's incredible. So.
Yeah. And if I can add just a little bit, I mean, that was kind of the whole point of the foundation of the band, right? To do something different, not just to stick to what we were in our youth was skacore. You know what I mean? Like that's why we parted ways with the other group of musicians, you know, that we wanted to do something different. We wanted to do our own touch to it. You know, we wanted to do more soft ska, you know, like more melodic ska, I guess you could say, on the horn lines, you know, because back in the day it was just like tan 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 you know what I mean? Like it was just something simple, and then we wanted to create more melodies and lines like that. So I feel like we've always had that, you know, since the beginning. That was the whole decision, you know, of like making something new. And now we just do it like it became some like second nature, you know, that we want to try it, you know, okay, let's put it into this band, like Latin blues. Da, 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 you know what I mean? We put it into ska, and then at the end we add like this little what do you call it, Erick? Like a little not samba, you know, but you know, like tropical taste to it, you know what I mean? So it's always, that's always been like our thing, that we want to create something different, you know, and then incorporate it into ska, into what we're doing.
And
I think you mentioned this about the name Blanco y Negro as well, right? How inclusive it is. For me in particular, I think I really like the name because it incorporates this. There's nothing that isn't within that spectrum. There, and I hope that we do continue to blend and mix and find.
And maybe it's not necessary to say this, but I do have to stress that Blanco y Negro does not mean that we're not really black and so ironic or cliche to say that. Things are not black and white. We love the gray area. Give me man, I love gray area. So it's interesting, but it captures a whole spectrum. It's not that we think things are binary. No. We love the gray area. Right. Everything has a gray area.
Yes. And I would think that because of your diverse sound, and we've seen it, right? You all have played a variety of types of shows. I mean, you've opened up for Western Standard Time, right? You've played the Levitt Pavilion series, but you've also played shows for Evacor and Concrete Jungle to the Latin. I mean, if you talk, and you all would love to hear about this because we know from talking with some other band members, but that's such a massive scene, and you all are amongst really some of the most upbeat, right? Like ska core, ska punk, and the Latin scene. But your diverse sound gives you the ability, right, to play and open up for Ken Booth, but you could also play a more heavily reggae festival, right? So I mean, there are a lot of advantages to that as well.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Nancy has helped us so much.
I was going to mention it too.
What? I
shout out to Nancy to all the hard work she does in the back, man.
Yep. What's the craziest show that I think Nancy has gotten us? And I thought it was. And to be fair, when I met Nancy, I had this whole conversation with her, and I was kind of telling her what our plan was and what we wanted to do. Yeah. And I remember the one thing that I told her, I was like, Nancy, put me in the craziest places you could, wherever people have never heard this. I want them to be like, what are these kids doing? Like, what is this? And I think the weirdest show, but it was great. She, Mrs. Liz Levitt, she was holding this fundraiser at her house. It was in this huge mansion. We were the only band that was playing, and I kid you not, we were at this show. They gifted us a bottle of vodka each. It was that kind of event, and I remember we all had a few drinks and stuff. We finished. We played. Everyone loved it. They were blown away. I didn't think they expected it either.
And we're talking about a very drastically different socioeconomic, do you get me? Demographic.
That's exactly what I was going to say. There was we were talking to some people, me and Eric, and one of the guys was like, yeah, man, I'm only going to have one drink because I got brain surgery tomorrow in the morning that I got to do. And we were like, dude, please get out of here.
He was not having it. He was performing.
He was going to
he was gonna conduct
surgery on someone. Yeah. And we were like, dude, please leave. Don't have any more drinks. Get out of here. This is some crazy stuff you gotta do. And again, shout out to Nancy. And shout out to, I guess, the band, right? In particular,
the whole team. It takes a whole village. What you guys are doing right now too, it helps out the cause. So it takes a whole village.
It's crazy, that diverse sound is just put us in such different positions.
And indeed. So speaking of the village of the band, name the current members, because obviously it's just 4 of you here, but we know there's more than 4 in the band.
Mario he says that we should never introduce ourselves, right? But this is Mario Fuentes, vocalist, lead vocals, guitar.
Eric, he's not trying to. This is Eric, also vocals, lead guitar. We have Ivan Mazas on trumpet for you, Mila on alto saxophone. We have Juan Lopez on tenor saxophone, Anthony Lopez on drums. We have Carlos Leyva on percussion, and
we have
Andrew Guerra on bass. And then very recently we've kind of been onboarding this guy named Alan too. He plays with the Steadians. And
Shout out to
shout out to Steadians and
Manos, yeah.
Manos. Yeah, he's a great keyboard player, and he's been helping us out right there. So
Nice. All right, yeah, it's important.
Back to practice. It's an orchestra.
It is an orchestra.
Yeah, back to
How
the 50-man person.
How many pieces now? Then I wasn't counting on my fingers.
we're 9 now, actually.
I know. Okay, nice.
Yeah, that one.
Mila, two questions for you. One is you talk a lot. You talked about your classical background. Are there maybe this is I'm not musically inclined. That's why I'm behind the scenes. But how difficult or easy was it or is it to transition from playing classical music on the sax to playing ska music?
For me specifically, it wasn't that difficult. Just because even though I played classical, I was always attracted to jazz music.
Okay.
So I always listened to it. So when I heard ska bands, I'm like, oh, I hear the fusion here somewhere. So there's something that can be done. It's still a little hard for me, I think, sometimes, because I'm very I'm so structured in the way that I think about things, and I struggle with that a lot, and kind of just letting myself go and just feeling the music out versus wanting to read it. And so that's definitely been one of my biggest struggles. But the more I do it and the more I'm around people that are encouraging of the skills that I do bring to the table, it becomes easier. It gets easier the more you do it.
Right. And you've been with the group now how long?
Not very long. I met them I want to say 2019.
So just
yeah, we played a few gigs together, and then the pandemic happened, so that kind of slowed down that,
right.
connection that potentially could have happened. And but I guess technically about 3-4 years with them.
Yeah. And so Junior and I talked about this off air, and we want to get your take on it, not just yours, Mila, but also the rest of the guys. But so, and this is one of the many reasons why it's important to be talking with you, Mila. It seems like on the East Coast, we notice that there's a number of female musicians that are in different ska type bands. It's evident in the amazing Rude Girl Review, all-star group, and there's a number of Scotch Bonnets, a number of bands back east that have some female musicians. But you're in the minority, unfortunately, here in Southern California, from a musician standpoint in bands. I mean, there were some bands around, the cover-ups, the shanties, some all-female groups that were around in the 90s and early 2000s. We definitely have some incredible female vocalists, but from a female musician standpoint, I mean, Junior, right?
Almost down to zero.
There's very few, right?
Very few.
Maybe we can count on one hand. Mobtown had Kat, had Amy who sang and played trumpet, but not many others from a musician standpoint. So, a question for you, Mila, is, and I know that you're just fairly new to the ska scene, and Mila, for you and the rest of the band, but why do you think that is?
I think just in general, there aren't that many female musicians. I mean, even in the classical realm, there are female musicians, but they usually steer towards flute or clarinet, maybe, kind of like the smaller instruments. I think we could get into this whole thing, but I think just in general, women are afraid or conditioned maybe to kind of not see themselves on the same level as men. And for me, that's kind of been a driving force where I'm like, no, I can't. Nice. I can hang with all these men, fuck that.
Yes.
So, but I have my lows. I definitely do. It's just a male dominated world. I struggle even with these guys sometimes where I'm like, they just don't understand me. But it's just the way it is. And some of us, I think, are not strong enough to like continue having those relationships, or maybe having conversations that are difficult for the opposite sex. But I don't care if I get made fun of. I don't care if they talk about me, because I know in my heart that I did the right thing, and I was able to vocalize how I felt. And whether that, you know, works out for the group or doesn't, you know, is beyond me at that point, because I'm like, okay, well, at least I did my part in expressing whatever I needed to. But it's hard. It's hard to get like the same amount of respect. Like, I may bring the same amount of talent as someone else, as a male counterpart would, but that the male would definitely get the respect that I don't.
Right.
So
And you're generalizing, you're not specifically talking about Blanco Negro, because I can rectify that.
I'm not gonna say, in general, just from me meeting all kinds, because I've in the ska bands that I've been, they've all been male dominated. Definitely, I've always been the female in the group. And I have a very male-like personality that kind of helps in getting myself comfortable with people. That kind of, it helps me like open the door like socially. So then, you know, my confidence is able to kind of develop when I feel like I can get along with them. But I feel like I do have a different approach than I think males do with each other. They just have it's a different kind of dynamic, I think, that they have with each other versus when there's a female present. But with Blanco y Negro, I feel like we kind of just got along from the beginning. We joke the same way. It's just easier. It's just, I found my group.
Nice.
So yeah,
Well,
I found a group that I get along with, and that, you know, we make it happen. So
well, we're very glad to hear that, and I know that you're.
If I could compliment too what she's saying, I think Mila has very strong, like, I don't even know, she just has strong leadership is what it is, right? And you know, to kind of give credit to what she's saying, I've actually when I had just met Mila, I had a situation where somebody in front of her was almost like trying to discredit her ability to lead. And I thought it was kind of funny because you know, you know, she was kind of part of us at that point. And I remember like telling this guy, like, you know what, dude, well, that's great, because if she can lead and I can lead, then we could just lead together. And I remember this guy being very shocked, and it was somebody that she played in a band with in the past. And it seemed like, you know, for whatever reason, you know, to her point, sometimes, you know, there's some kind of like disconnect with some people, and with following, maybe sharing, you know, the work with like a girl, you know. And, you know, I'm sure it's, you know, I can't speak on it as much because, you know, I mean, it's her experience, but I'm sure it's hard, right? I'm sure it's hard sometimes. And but we appreciate Mila. She's awesome, and she really has a way of like, you know, dealing with us when we're difficult, and you know, or her telling us when we're wrong sometimes, you know. It's great.
And
but
you continue.
you know what, they like getting scolded by me. It's attractive for
You continue to do
yes,
that.
heard of.
Yes, no, we love that. Yeah.
So what is it going to take to get more females to join bands? More specifically, the genre that
I think more of more representation, and I think for me it's been very like eye-opening, because I don't see myself like as a female, I guess, if that makes sense. I see myself as a musician. I want to get treated just like everyone else.
Yeah.
But when, in particular, when younger girls come up to me and they're like, dude, it is so fucking awesome to see you up there with you guys, and I'm like, for real? And when they like take time out of whatever they're doing in that moment at a performance or whatever, and they stop me to tell me things like that, I feel like whatever tiny amount of impact I've had on in their lives, or for them at that moment, is so special to me. And I'm hoping that more of that representation can get to other females, younger females that are like, okay, if she can do that, so can I, you know.
Yeah.
It's not beyond anyone to be a musician or to be a good musician. It just takes hard work and dedication.
Yeah. Now, listen, I have 2 young daughters, and I can tell
So
you,
regardless of gender, anyone can do it.
yeah, yeah, I have 2 young daughters, and I can tell you it definitely matters. And with that, I think Mila will
I think her
come.
phone died, maybe.
Yeah, she'll come back. I'm glad we got that
Point clear.
her honest thoughts there. So let's talk about your new recordings. I have to say, because I'm also a fan of a lot of different Latin rhythms. Your Run from Hell song is so incredibly well crafted and well arranged.
Thank you.
Everything about I truly love that song. So touch on who wrote that song, and touch on I know that you had a second single that I'm forgetting right now that was just recently also put out there. But talk about the plan with your new recordings.
You want to share?
So the first question was who kind of like created the song, right?
Yes.
Usually the process is, well, not every time, right? But a lot of times I like to bring the foundation. So I'll bring like the chords, you know, on guitar, and I'll be like, hey, Evan, can you please, you know, give me a cool horn line, and then hey, Mario, can you know, let's work on a cool, you know, some lyrics or whatever. So you know, I think I even stated earlier in the conversation where we really just like to stack ideas.
Collaborative effort.
I don't know what happened.
That's okay. You're back.
Phone died probably.
I don't know what was the last thing you heard.
No. You actually cut out at the
Yeah, you completed your thought.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
It was
Wonderful.
almost as though like a mic drop and you're out.
Okay.
Yeah,
That works for me. That's called show business, motherfuckers.
Hey.
Right.
Can we curse, Eric, by the way?
Oh yes, hey, no holds barred.
I've been holding back so hard, you have no idea.
Oh no. Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Eric, what was your second question? Sorry, what was the part B of that question?
Oh, the second part was just what
Would you reiterate the question so that?
Oh yes,
Mila can-
so Mila, the question was about the songwriting type process in the band, in general, and then secondly is what can fans expect from the new recordings, because I was given such a great compliment. I love the Run from Hell album song. I think it's really perfectly arranged and crafted. So
Awesome. Thank you for saying that. You were asking what our songwriting process is like?
yes,
Like individually or just as a group?
collectively, like, are there primary songwriters?
Yeah, I would say the primary songwriters would be Erick and Mario. They definitely come in with like, you know, a skeleton. You know, they come with rough lyrics or like chord progressions and stuff like that. I usually look to Ivan. He's like my leader. Whatever ideas he kind of brings in, I kind of try to join in and harmonize with him. I think just in general, everyone brings their own kind of flavors and backgrounds, and all that kind of meshes together. And, you know, and our songs definitely go through like evolutions. Like, you know, at first we're like, okay, that's done. And then we won't touch it for months. And then we'll come back to it and it sounds completely different because someone forgot this or that, or someone added something else. So it's random, but it's fun.
Right. Speaking of Ivan, I don't know if he
deliberately.
You still on?
Oh, there he is.
Does that work?
Oh, nice. He's on the move.
Yeah.
Getting paid to chat.
I love
Exactly.
it. All good. All good.
Eric, sorry, so sorry. Part B, you said, what about what's coming, right?
Yes, your exciting new recordings.
What's to be expected? What's not to be expected?
So I think Mario really wants to. I know he's trying to talk about this one.
I don't actually. I just look, really again, like I mentioned earlier, I think there's a lot that's coming. There's a lot, and there's a lot of like diversity in what we're playing. There's a lot of like different sounds, but if my focus is the second album, I think we're doing more reggae than anything, right?
Yes, on the second album, a lot more reggae than anything.
Right.
A lot of storytelling.
Yeah.
Songs that folks can definitely relate to. So we're super excited. Early 2024. We don't want to say a date yet, but early 2024, it's coming. And this is okay. I'm trying to hold this back, but I gotta tell you guys, man.
Tell us.
Crazy enough. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but crazy enough, the guys, I watched them. We watch each other. We're really excited for the third album. We're really excited for the third album. And again, and see, look, I think this is subject to change, but with ska and reggae always at the core, right? It's always at the core. The exciting thing about the even second and third album is the branching out. You might hear Blanco y Negro do something that you are totally out of a different lane, like different genre, different influences. So again, we're trying to show that we could do it all. But again, we were born in the ska, rocksteady, reggae community. That's always going to be the core. But there might be some different influences. There might be a whole different genre. So we love that we can just do it all. That I don't know, man. Maybe I'll speak for myself, but that's super fun about music, being able to touch everything.
Absolutely.
Some folks some folks are a lot more purist than us, and I think that's awesome. That's cool. They're so good at what they do. For a long time, I think we were battling that. We were kind of wrestling with the idea, like we wanted to be pure, right? But it's just like, goodness, there's just so many cool genres out there. We have fun with all of them, including the niche that we're in now. So I said, guys, like, let's do it all, man. And again, second and third albums. This is really early talk, but we're really excited for everything coming. So Mario's not, he's really not off track in what he's saying, but we have a lot coming. So we're excited for everything.
I'm trying to bite my tongue too. I don't want to say too much, but
yeah.
So today, how many full-length albums you have, as we now speak?
We have one full-length album, yeah.
One full length, but then you've started releasing singles. Right?
Yes.
For the second album.
For the second album.
Right. Run from Hell, and what was the second one that was
Hola, Señorita?
Hola, Señorita, yeah.
Right, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the process for this second album is going to be rolling out singles, and then at a certain point, the entire album. Is that kind of the plan?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the plan.
All right.
Well, add me to your mailing list. I think yeah.
Junior will give you some spins on his numerous.
Right?
That would be awesome.
That would be
one,
awesome.
2, 3, 4 different radio programs. But 4 or 5,
Somebody
6, 7, 8.
That'd be cool. I like that idea. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yes.
We're gonna hold you
next
to
year.
that, though, Junior.
Next year.
We're gonna hold you to that.
Yeah, Oh, yeah, right.
We're gonna keep telling. We're not gonna forget that you said that, okay, Mr.
Oh,
Francis?
no,
We're gonna
no, it's not hard. It's not hard, man. Trust me.
Nancy knows where to find Junior.
But unfortunately, I've been holding this back. I tried to reach out to you guys because there was a legend coming to town, and I had you guys under consideration. Nobody replied on social media.
On social media.
Yeah, let's go check
Okay.
Facebook. I'll reach out.
Fail, guys. Just something back.
But here's
Facebook?
Right.
Oh,
but
okay.
they've redeemed themselves.
Yes, and I think through that interview that we did, and that person kept. What was your name?
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I said,
right,
okay, let's let you
right.
mention, go
Yeah.
through Nancy.
Well, that's the perfect segue again to circle back around.
Right to January 13th. What's exciting about that show for you guys? And what can the audience expect from Blanco Negro on January the 13th, Martin Luther King birthday weekend?
Oh man.
Ken Booth.
Mario's always he's always talking. We talk to Nancy Claude, and we're always talking about like not to again. This is I always have to say disclaimer before anybody takes anything the wrong way, but not that LA shows are not fun. LA is our home. It's always fun in LA, right? But there's something cool about. Let's go to the outside cities real quick, right? Let's go to Pomona real quick.
Make us a little uncomfortable.
Yeah,
we don't want to know anybody out there.
Yeah,
we want to meet some people.
Let's play somebody different, right? And I mean the lineup is stacked too. I like intimate. Again, I'm talking about myself, but I mean I think most of us we like intimacy. And there's 3 bands on the bill. Like we have a legend, and we have
Backed by Steady
45. So I'm gonna say it 1, So we have two other local, like our personal favorites, our friends. Like these folks are all cool. So it's always, this is the kind of show that's really fun. You have a legend and you have a bunch of friends. You know, it's, I don't know how you get better than that.
They need to expect some energy, some good music, some good sounds, and a lot of camaraderie, right? Let's have some drinks. I don't know.
Probably some storytelling too, because Mario can't help himself sometimes, and he has to tell everyone something about what happened that day.
That's true.
But
That's true.
Engage the crowd.
But
Yeah,
here's one
exactly.
secret though. Here's one secret. Bring your A game.
Hey,
Bring your A game.
yes, sir.
Got some homework, boys.
Oh,
sir.
yeah, bring your A
No,
game.
it's true. It's true because the Debonaires are coming back. You know, they've not performed as much over the years.
Okay.
You know, the unfortunate and really sad loss of Jason, their longtime bass player. You know, during COVID, coming out of COVID. And then so really looking forward to seeing them. 45s are, as you guys know, are just always incredible. Ken always brings his A game too. So yeah.
As a matter of fact, Steady 45s are on a level now that even the pioneers want to take them with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they recently played the back
So that's
pioneers.
why
I mean,
So that's
you
why
know,
I'm saying,
30-45.
really and truly bring your A game.
Absolutely.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt that you all will. So as we near the end here, anything that we've not touched on, any final thoughts? And this goes for you, Ivan, as well. I know you're multitasking, but anything, Ivan, that you want to share as we say goodbye here in a few minutes?
Yeah, well, just to touch on the last question, you know, that is exactly how Junor Francis said. You know, I'm excited to bring my A game. You know, I'm excited to perform. After a cool minute, you know, we played it's a difference between playing LA Ska scene, you know, like local band like Jungle Show, and the difference between playing with the legend Ken Booth. Audience says it all. You know, the audience is where it's at. Like where we go to a concrete show or even core show, we're expecting, you know, the youth to be in the pit, you know, kind of like a little aggressive or, you know, grooving and stuff like that. But then once we play with like a mature audience, you know, then we kind of, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing people dance, you know, like, hey, like, grab your partner, you know what I mean, sway them around, you know, like if our music could do that for you guys, that makes the whole night for me.
Yeah, I love that. I can't wait. What about you, Mila? Any final thoughts?
Just looking forward to making an impact, and you know, as we talked about earlier, hopefully some females are there as well that can, you know, be inspired. Yeah, be inspired to also pick up an instrument, because you know we can.
I know. I know they will be. Eric and Mario.
Man, I'm just excited. Are you gonna be there, by the way?
You guys are gonna be there, right?
I'm not sure if I'm gonna make it.
Of course we will.
Of course.
No Ska Mania without Junor Francis. Yeah, and I'll be there as well. I'll be there.
Final thoughts. I mean,
Yeah,
you know, I don't even know how to say it, but I mean, just as simple as thank you guys so much for, you know, this invite to play with a legend. I will say, Mr. Junor Francis, that I can't say we've had, and not to throw anybody on the bus, right? But I don't think we've had too many invites to play with legends. But you know, as it's happening, it's really nice to be invited to play with them. And thank you guys for what you do. This is amazing. Thank you guys so much for allowing us to tell our story. We've been like dying to tell our story. We're itching to tell our story, and we're really hoping that people are interested in listening, and hopefully people are inspired. And you know, that's what we're here for too, because we have had that feedback of younger folks. You know, we're relatively young, right? But there's people that are even younger, that are teens, that are early 20s. They're like, dude, you guys inspire us. Like, I like how you guys sound. I want to sound like that. And it's like that's crazy to me. You know, that's
how we know we did our job.
Yeah,
we did our job,
and we're here for it. You know, we're here to
And
inspire.
we hope you guys will continue to inspire younger generation.
Indeed, yeah.
Because we don't want this music to go the way of the dinosaurs. We want it to continue.
And that's I'm glad you mentioned that too, Mr. Francis, because you know, again, established 2009. There are so many bands that unfortunately for many things that come in life, it just cuts off, you know. And we have the God-given blessing that we're still going. That to me, that's a blessing. That we're still together is a blessing, because it's just one after another. You know, they drop and because it's not easy. Yeah. Things happen. People have families. Tragic things happen. Different career paths. So many things happen. We're still able to do this, so it's a big blessing. Thank you guys so much for giving us this platform.
Yeah, you guys.
You know, I've seen it all.
Yeah.
So I would be remiss to not. So a few of you have some instruments in front of you or next to you. Any little taste of anything as we do the outro of the show? Anything you can tap on your guitar, strum on your guitar? Any hand drums? Any sax? Anything like that?
You guys want to hear something?
Yeah, let Mario do it. I'll save my sax for the show.
This actually might be a first as well for the History of LA Ska one-on-one session. So
think of it.
Yeah, it can be brief. Anything at all.
I'll just jump into the verse. Tell me you guys can hear it, right?
Oh yes.
The guitar is not that.
Try, baby, clap your hands. See, I've been flying, cause I'm high on life, and I don't care about nothing but this feeling tonight. Not tomorrow night, it's burning right now. And never just a moment, it be right now. And if you wanna lose your darkness right now. Preocúpate ahorita, yeah, it's right now.
Nice.
Mila, you didn't want to touch the sax even softly?
Actually, I'm playing tenor sax right now, and that's not what I play with the Blanco y Negro.
Right.
So.
No, that was great. That was a treat. And again, Erick, Mario, Mila, Ivan, thank you all very much. And again, looking forward to seeing you on January 13th at the Glass House in Pomona.
And thanks to the other members who weren't able to make it.
Indeed. And
thank you for having us.
Thank you guys for staying together.
Yes.
Thank you.
Continued success as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Junior, indeed, yes. Happy to be talking with you all. Junior, thank you as always.
Yes, and please follow us at well, this series is produced by Rockery Radio at Rockery_radio, and Erick is the headman.
And please follow this gentleman at Junor Francis. And we thank you all out there for your ongoing support. Please subscribe to this podcast series and our YouTube channel, and follow us at History of LA Ska on Instagram, and join our Facebook group. Until next time, be well, everyone. Much love and respect.
Likewise.
And let's get out and support live music. Let's keep it vibrant, the music we love so much. And until next time.
And thanks to all people, you know, I was in Riverside this past week at concert Roddy. You know, everyone I met said they're watching the podcast. So
Indeed.
thanks.
And happy holidays to you all.
Thank you guys so much.
Bye.
Thank you guys for this
January
opportunity.
13th. Take care.
See you
Thank you,
soon.
January 13th.
Be well. Bye-bye.
Thank you guys.
All right.